Hey, what's going on, y'all? This is Lecrae, and right now you're checking out my boy, David Duane.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning back into On Air with your one and only rock star on the mic, David Duane, in the place to be right here and right now. We've got our boy, Grammy Award-winning, multi-platinum selling artist, Lecrae, with us to talk about his brand new album, booking all the amazing things that he's been doing, restoration. The album is out. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for being, I can't even talk, tongue-tied, excited to have you back, dude, because I mean, like I said before we got started with the interview, you have been really killing it as far as in the music game and just faith-based, the community, and just helping people. Everything that you've been doing has been great over this last decade. So congratulations. How has all of this been for you, just kind of doing the work of God and being a servant, but not only that, but doing the work for yourself and getting that help that you need to help, restore yourself?
Uh, I mean, you said it. It's been a holistic process, and I think in doing everything holistically, there's always um, there's always a rainbow at the end of the storm because when you're working on yourself as a whole, when you're working on a community, when you're being creative, there's all kind of little wins. Sometimes you can get discouraged if you're just working on one aspect of things, but when you're working on them all collectively, there's always something to be excited about. And that's what I love. It's like maybe I'm not emotionally having the best of days, but I get to see that, some kids that I invested in were thriving because of some stuff that's going on. So it's a roller coaster, but it's always something to be excited about.
Yeah. And we've been going through a serious roller coaster with everything from Black Lives Matters to the old presidential crazy that we had in the office. Now he's out. Now we've got good administration in the White House like that. And there's just a lot of things that have been going on. How have you been feeling like just with, I know that mental health has been something that you are constantly working towards. Meditation is something that you love to do. And just the therapeuticness of meditation is so important. So I suggest anybody that's not gotten into it to get into it. But how have you been feeling mentally, just knowing that things are getting better, but there's still work that has to be done within community, within the Black community, within just all communities?
Yeah. Well, nothing happens overnight, right? If I was to give somebody one brick, they may look at that and say, what am I going to do with this? But it takes brick by brick is how you get a building. And so I think we've seen a lot of struggles. We've seen a lot of trials and tribulations, but we just keep building. We just keep on building and we don't stop. You work through the trauma, you work through the emotional pain, you work through the societal and the racial stuff. You work through it all and build brick by brick, because we didn't get here overnight, and even though it feels like we got a long way to go, we're further than some people would have ever imagined. I'm sure if Martin Luther King could see us today, he'd say, wow, I mean, this is what I want, and we're not done, but this is great that we progressed in the way that we have.
Yeah, I really feel like we are, especially from where things have been from the period of Martin Luther King to now. Especially the fact that our people, even not only did they protest, but and they were trying to make their message known. They were trying to get their voices heard for everything that was not going right. So it was good to see, especially in Atlanta. Like they might have went a little bit too nuts down there. Your folks down there, but but we understood because things needed to be, we needed justice. And we
Sure.
saw that justice all across the world because it was not just something that affected Black people, but affected all minorities and affected all races during this period in time.
Hmm. I totally agree. Again, like I said before, it's a process, and they say riots are the voice of the unheard, and so we just need voices to be heard. All the issues that we're seeing are because of lack. If a voice isn't heard, then there's going to be an issue. Joblessness is directly connected to incarceration. So when there's jobs and opportunities, you don't have a lot of the circumstances and things that are going on. But long story short, we just need to keep creating those opportunities for people.
With your record label, Reach Records and stuff like that. Well, how important was that to make sure as you got your voice out there and utilize that platform that you also work with other people to get their voice and their ministry and their faith out there too? as a
Yeah,
test.
that's huge. Just making sure that you reinvest in the community. You know, Sometimes I feel like I'm not doing enough, and I'm always trying to do something. But for me, if I can just plant a seed in somebody, and see that seed grow, then I feel like, man, I've made my contribution because somebody had to invest in me. And so I want to continue to invest in others, and sometimes you don't always see it immediately, but it takes time for those plants to grow and those individuals to grow. So I'm always wanting to invest in the future, invest in artists, invest in individuals, so that they can continue to push forward.
What are the struggles would you say you have to deal with, also being the entrepreneur and artist, also being able to being an advocate as well, to like managing all of that? Because I'm sure, but outside of that, the importance also for you is being a father, being a husband, being a son, being a friend, being all those things. So it's a lot of hats to juggle, but how do you find the balance between that?
Yeah, you know it's really is, it's a balance. I wouldn't even say a balancing act. I say it's tension, and it's just tension is how you grow. But when you know that it's tension, when you don't look for balance, right? Because balance is not going to ever happen. Balance is the idea that somehow you got all the balls in the air at the same time and you're good. And the truth of the matter is that you're always juggling. You're always like, it's tension. It's like, let me see. This isn't this isn't that. And you keep on moving back and forth with it to make sure that everything is as it should be consistently. And that's just the way of life. This isn't it's not like like a scale. Like if I put a little bit here, a little bit on this side, then it's going to even itself out. It's not like that. Life isn't like that. Life is constantly in motion. So you're constantly having to remove a little bit from this scale, put it on this one, and then move something back and forth. And so it's like, man, am I spending enough time with my kids? I don't, nah, 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 nah. I need to go do some more time with the kid. Wait a minute. Have I spent enough time writing? Nah, I ain't spending enough time writing. And you're constantly keeping them going all the time. But that's just life. And when you understand life is about tension and not about balance, then you can deal with the tension, a healthy tension. You can deal with that. But when you're looking for balance, I think we stress ourselves out because we're trying to like, I just can't get it right. And I'm like, man, you're never gonna get it exactly right.
Because it's the stress tension. It's more so like just allowing things to happen the way that it's supposed to. I think that that's what people have to more so do. Like just let things happen. It's not always going to be a perfect moment in life.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
Like you gotta allow that stress to fuel you to, like you said, to even write. So write
Yep.
an amazing book. I am restored. Can we talk about just the concept of that, and just really how you got that to that discovery of finding your faith and still remaining to be the person that you are today? Because this album, yo, this is the album. If everybody hasn't gotten it, they have to check it out. But let's talk about this book though.
Yeah. I tell a lot of stories in a book, obviously, um, growing up and experiencing trauma, not having my father in my life, molestation, neglect, abuse, all of those things, create stored up trauma inside of you. And you're fighting for something that you don't realize you're fighting for. And so restoration is all about understanding, like, there's parts of me that are wounded that needed to be healed, that needed to be restored. And the body always keeps the score. So, it's not like you cut your hand and you wait 5 days and it heals up. You have to actually do some work to deal with some of the trauma that's happened in your life. So restoration, the album, the book, it's just a world to help people understand, like, we have to process these things. We have to heal from these things. And I want to walk people through my journey and show people how I've healed. And sometimes you got to show off your scars so wounded people know that healing is possible. And that's what I did with these projects.
Yeah, you definitely did that. And I like what you said. And I want to talk about that specifically with you because you're constantly doing the work. But the importance of doing the work and the healing is a everyday process. And I try to tell people, so you're looking at us right now, let me look at y'all. Healing is a process. You must do the work. And you've been doing the work. And just the importance of that. How important would you say it is to just the understanding the aspect that it wasn't going to take that it wasn't going to be overnight, that it was going to take its time? Because I know you had to deal with the struggles of the traumas of not having your father. Because I deal with those traumas, and and that's still work that has to be done for me still, and that abandonment.
Yeah. Yeah, we live in a microwave society, where at the click of a button, I can find out the whole history of the United States. I can push a button and heat up food that's been in the refrigerator for overnight, and it's warm. So I think we think of healing like we can achieve it like that. Like it's just like, oh well, let me just punch in a couple buttons and come out better. And the reality is that our souls, our minds, our brains, our emotions don't heal like that. It's like a broken bone. It's just not going to heal overnight. And so, there's a process for it. And even, as a man of faith, I think sometimes we want to pray stuff away. We just want to like, all right, God, come on, move. And he's not transactional. He's relational. He's going to walk with us through that process. So if I wanted to lose weight, I can't just push a button and lose the weight. I can't just pray the weight away. I've got to do the work, and it's a process. But the process leads to progress, and so it's always worth it. And keep a journal or do something so that you can go back and see from whence you came. Like, oh wow, I didn't realize it. Because oftentimes when you're losing weight or something like that, you don't realize how much you've lost till you go back and look at the old pictures, and you're like, wow. So it's the same with trauma and healing. Sometimes you got to keep a journal to see how dark of a space you were once in. And after you've done some work, you're like, wow, I didn't even realize how far along I've gotten.
Yeah, yeah, that's whew. You said a message in the word. That's true. Because a lot of us shouldn't be really looking at it detail by detail. We should be looking at it after the fact and be able to analyze and say, you know what, this is where I've been better. This is where I've been better. Because when you start to notate everything and then be like, wow, it starts to feel better because then you're actually looking at progress. Okay, this was January. This was March. This was April. This is May, June, July. Okay, this was 2019. This was 2020. This is 2021. This is what is also what I should work on as far as 2022 is concerned. I like how I just went through the whole timeline of that. It's kind of dope.
Right. Right.
But it's like just kind of doing that work is important. I love the record Set Me Free with YK Osiris. First of all, you guys together, and we all need to be set free, set from fear, set from trauma, set from so many different things. Just the inspiration behind this record, and then collaborating with YK on this. How did that collaboration come about? And then, how did you feel it was most important to just talk about just setting ourselves free?
Yeah. Well, YK is real transparent. He's gonna be himself. So what you see is what you get. He doesn't try to pretend he's something he's not. And if he's talking real, he's gonna talk real. And he was real transparent about, some industry woes he had and his faith. And I thought, man, a lot of people could shun him. I'm gonna reach out to him and just connect. And so we just connected and built from there. And then I was like, man, I actually have a song, we could work on. And he was down with it, came to the studio and we worked on a song. And yeah, like you said, it's about freedom. There's so many types of freedom that I think we need to embrace, especially as a Black man in America.
Yes.
There's freedom from historical trauma, there's freedom from systemic oppression, there's freedom from powers that be, and there's just a freedom in ownership and owning what you do. And so for me, it was just an anthem of saying, set me free. I want to be free from any shackle that keeps me from being who I was created to be.
Mm, amen to that. And you mentioned ownership. We're touching so many good points already so soon. Ownership, from going from being an independent artist to now having your music with Columbia Records and just learning the business and stuff like that. How important was it to just acknowledge ownership, even with that transition period? Because I know that that was something a little bit different from the last time we talked, even with that tours like that. Now your tours have even been larger and so like that. Obviously, we're not touring now, but that was, when you had got with them, that was the last tour I saw you. You just did incredible things with that.
Yeah, I mean, it was all about leverage, and that's really what it comes down to. You never want to be in a position where, you know, somebody is leveraging all of your creativity and everything that you have, and you bring nothing, you're bringing all the goods to the table and they're just profiting off of it. You always want to be in position you're, you know, you have leverage and you can work out a deal that's beneficial to you and, obviously to them. And so for me, that's what was important for me in that partnership. But like you said, it was about learning. It was about understanding what I didn't already know, walking through doors that I hadn't walked through before, not just so I could become big and famous, but so that I could understand this business and I could continue to transfer that knowledge and that information, as an owner for my own artists, you know what I mean, and for the future of my career. So a lot of that is just, is just making sure that you take care of what's been given to you and be a good steward of everything that's been given to you.
Yeah. And I know that one of the things that you preach is being a servant as well. And just the importance of that. What you've been doing in the community as far as Atlanta is concerned has been amazing. And Houston as well too. Let's definitely talk about the work that you've been doing. I know you've there was a school project, like help, like I guess like start a school, was it?
Hmm. Yeah, I was fortunate enough to help, partner with some incredible people to found a school called Peace Preparatory Academy in Atlanta, which is a historical area, that hasn't had a school in over 20 years. You know what I mean? And so the kids were just, they were stuck out. A lot of them weren't going to school because, there was no neighborhood school, and it was a food desert, and it was just all types of problems and crime and shootings, and it was a heroin capital of the South. So to put a school in the community was one thing, but we wanted to do more than just put a school in the community. We wanted to see the community thrive and change. So, it's not just educating these students. It became about educating parents. It became about feeding families. It became whole family, whole child, whole family. And now it's moved on to creating financial literacy classes and building, apartment complexes that are beautiful, that give them dignity. You know what I mean? That they looking at this like, oh, we about to be gentrified, and it's like, no, this is for y'all. And so you have to make, under a certain income in order to live here. So just anybody can't come in here unless they, fit the criteria. And that's been beautiful, man, just to see the community turn around and to thrive. And it's staying, a Black community. It's not, being gentrified and changed. It's staying as it should be. And I think, that's part of being a servant, is dignifying people, bringing peace, bringing hope, and allowing people to thrive right where they are.
And it is. I think that what you're doing is amazing because it sets a tone. It doesn't box anything in. And I think that there should be more communities that are done like this throughout, the United States, that are helping people. I know that there are different places that have similar things, schools of what you're doing and communities. But this is great because it allows people that need help in many different areas to get that help,
Mhm.
because that's what it's about, helping one another versus putting us down. Let's provide the help for one another so that we can prosper in our life, because we all here for a reason.
Right. Right. Absolutely. I totally agree.
And even in the album, you even talked about waking up with a purpose and the reason. How important was it just to address that? Because we're all going through, trials and tribulations, like you said, with losing jobs, and relationships are just failing, and just all different types of bad, 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 bad trauma. But just the importance of that and that message.
Purpose is everything. I mean, when you think about it, it's like, without purpose, what are you? You just atoms and cells, right? If there's no meaning to anything, then you're just existing and nothing matters. But everything does matter because we're more than just matter. You know what I mean? So it's important to be tapped into purpose. It's important to be tapped into, value, identity, worth. Because if you don't believe you have value, identity, or worth, then you're not gonna believe other people do either. You know what I mean? And you're going to treat other people without a sense of dignity, without a sense of worth and purpose. I believe we were all created in God's image. And so I want to treat people just like that. I believe we all have infinite value, worth, and purpose. And so, and a large part of that is loving people, like genuinely, you know what I mean? Like, and to love somebody is in large ways to say, man, let me empathize. What are you going through that I don't understand, and how can I help? Because oftentimes, man, we have more than enough in our own backyard, but we can get so self-centered we don't realize that there's somebody else we could be serving, and serving people actually bolsters your sense of well-being. Like I remember when the pandemic first hit, and I'm sitting at home thinking, shoot, man, I ain't got no shows. What I'm about to do? I'm thinking through it. But then I'm like, wait a minute. It's people who don't have homes right now, living on the street. What are they doing? And so that's when I got on the phone with my man Terrence, and we went out and started serving people who were homeless.
Yep.
And it gave me a sense of like appreciation, you know what I mean, for what I do have, and stop thinking about what's not there.
I was definitely going to mention that too, especially during Thanksgiving and seeing that whole thing. Like you guys really went in and made that like a mission to do
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
that.
you got to, man. I mean, it's just, again, it's about purpose, it's about value. Those people have dignity, worth, and value just like you do.
Yeah. And I know that this album has definitely been a testimony for you, but when you think about 4 records off this album, what records would you say like really speak to, your testimony from this project?
Yeah, I mean, definitely Only Human, with BJ the Chicago Kid. I think that really hits home with me, just talking about the real life struggles. I mean, everything in that song is true. Everything you hear in that song is true. So all the emotions you go on is true. Um, you know, definitely Still with Danny Lay. I think, you know, um, it's a lot of relationships that don't understand perseverance and struggle, and everybody wants this perfect relationship, and people don't realize that it takes investment, for it to really work. And so Still is a song about the investment and the sacrifices that have been made for a relationship to work. I think Nothing Left to Hide is where I just bare my soul, and I'm like, look, man, I'm not pretending out here. I don't like end of the day, every award you see behind me is really just, it's somebody else's validation of who I am. But like, it doesn't make me. I was somebody before anybody ever gave me an award. And so, Nothing Left to Hide is me just saying, man, I don't, look, I'm grateful for everything, but at the end of the day, like, I'm a human being, and I'm not gonna pretend that I'm something I'm not, or pretend I'm less than either. Um, and then lastly, I'll probably say, Restored, just because it's me telling chronicling the journey that I've gone on. And I ain't Drown too with John Legend, because Drown is like, when you're at that, I had to get to the lowest point before I could believe that I could come out on the other side. Sometimes you gotta go inside the cocoon if you plan on coming out a butterfly. You can't fight to be a caterpillar no more. You just gotta have to go through that cocoon. And that's what Drown was about.
And I felt that with that record. That's why Drown is actually one of my favorites, because it's like you have to fight the good fight and realize that you can come out on top, but actually going through that, like we were talking about, is the most important thing when, going through the process. And it's good that you talk about not needing the validation of different accolades.
Mhm.
But man, you have earned each and every single accolade that you have. So congratulations, Lecrae, on the awards, the tours, the albums, the books. I mean, you got a lot going
Yeah.
on. And I think that you are a living testament that anything is possible.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you think about yourself as a entrepreneur, artist, and then to the father, the husband you are, the friend that you are, what would you say exemplifies the amazing person that you are?
Man, I would hope it's I would like to say I'm a catalyzer for restoration. I want to push for that in my life and other people's lives. I just want to see that happen in the world. So it's like, man, I'm always fighting for it, whether it's financial restoration, emotional, mental, spiritual, educational. I want that for people, and so I'm always fighting for it.
Absolutely. Well, Lecrae, thanks so much for chatting with us today. Definitely appreciate, you know, just chatting, because this really was a good conversation. I think that everybody is definitely going to feel restored after, hearing this conversation with us today.
Sure. Yeah, appreciate it, man. Honor.
Absolutely.
Sincerely.
Absolutely. So for all the people that aren't following you on social media, where can they follow you? Where can they get the book? Where can they get the album? How can they stay up to date with all things Lecrae?
Yeah, make sure follow me on social media. I will take you somewhere. Just at Lecrae, Lecrae. You can go to the website for books. Anything connected to me is at lecrae.com. So just make sure you check out the site, and yeah, and stay tuned.
All right, everybody. So that was our show for this evening. Shout outs to our boys Lecrae and Blue Kimball for stopping by tonight's show. Amazing interviews, you guys gotta admit, right? I love chatting with them. We talked entertainment news outside of those interviews, and we talked Prince and Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson and Prince. Oh my goodness, they're just legacy is just so freaking phenomenal. So like I said, the special is coming between July and August, so make sure that you guys stay tuned. You guys got to follow us on all social platforms at On Air with David. That's on Twitter, Facebook, and everywhere. Like, we're just out here. And make sure that you guys tune into this show every week, every Tuesday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that is 7 Pacific Time. IG Lives up until July is going to be every Monday and Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 Pacific Time. So you guys never know who is going to be on that. And like I said earlier, we're going to be having Jim Jones joined with us on the IG Live series tomorrow. So make sure that you guys follow. And you guys are following me at David Duane. And listen, I heard a little birdie that we're going to be having some dope people join the show soon. And I might just have a little hint what that means. So make sure that you guys continue to stay tuned, because we're not playing. This is literally, we going up from here, and we're so grateful to God for all these many blessings and these conversations that we're having, especially during these times. And we just hope that these conversations, most importantly, are helping you guys get through these difficult times that we're going through. And guess what? We're all going to get through. Outside is opening up. And I'm hitting Miami next week and stuff like that. But we still want to have a show. And I can't wait to see you guys next week. So stay blessed until then. Have a great rest of the week, y'all. Peace.